Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. It is time for a retrocast. So, I'm noticing that with the rise of Seawall.gg and the availability of ladder replays and the ability to cast the best in the world on the Korean scene, that retro games and games of the past and foreign players, etc., don't probably get as much exposure as they should. So I have gone deep into my retro pack of 2009, and I have found a game called between G5 and Dimaga. This is obviously from the TSL era, and this game was probably played in 2009. A good old Team Liquid special. We're on Destination 1.1, which implies that there were probably multiple versions of this two-player map. And we have a PVZ for you today. It was played in one-on-one style, so I can't change the colors, but I mean, this orange versus whitish is probably doable enough on this terrain, so not going to complain too much. One of the funnest things about these weird maps is that they're not walled the way we see them today. You've got these multi-entrances, so it's kind of fun to see how they played on these older maps and what sort of walling solutions they came up with. Also fun to see how the meta has evolved, you know, how the game was being played in 2009 versus now. I don't know if I did reintroduce myself, but I'm Rabidru, a very, very casual Broodwar caster. I produce Broodwar content and have been doing so for over a year, basically just casting from replays. Really, really enjoy it. Just somebody who is a student, an admirer, and an enjoyer of the game. I don't profess to be an expert or a knower of everything. I just tend to choose to commentate the games that I would watch and enjoy, and share that experience with you guys. And it's been a lot of fun, and I hope to do so for quite some time. So we've got our Nexus cannon opening here. The amount of information that our scouting probe's been able to give us has been great. This is my fourth game that I've done today on the bounce. It's 35 degrees in Melbourne, Australia, where I live, and it's just too hot to do anything else. I'm sitting in my room with the air conditioning on, and I was like, you know what, let's just go into the replay archive and do some games. So that's what we're doing, and I enjoy the retro games because they tend to be fun. Just the way these were played, and I just particularly have an enjoyment of Protoss versus Zerg. I think it's the most, from a casting point of view, the most dynamic and fun sort of games you can expect to watch. So we've got our wall of probe over here. Oh my god. Wall here, and then worry about them running around the gas and coming around the back. And oh, wow. I'm glad they changed the maps. Here we go. Ah, he's decided to change his mind. Okay. So gateway is on the way. Second cannon is on its way. Nexus about to finish. And so everything now sort of normalizes, but he just runs straight in the front door. G5 was sort of asleep at the wheel there for like half a second, and that's all that our Zerg player needed to come in here and sit some lings in the house. Meanwhile, on our Zerg side of the house, it looks like we've just gone for our early 3 hatches. We'll keep an eye on these lings and we'll get a look at the build. Lair is on the way. So it does look like a pretty standard build from our Zerg. We're not going to get any 3-hatch Hydra today. Does lose a probe. This heroic Ling still doing his thing. We still, as Protoss, don't even have a Zealot. What are we making? That's my question. A couple of probes. And a cybernetic score. Okay. And we have lost another probe to this Ling. How many kills do you have, Mr. Ling? 2. 2 G5 probes. Okay, so finally gets rid of those Lings. Super painful. So observers here can see everything there is to be seen. It'll be interesting to see if we get a Stargate and if that was sort of the meta that's happening. So we have a Zealot that's moved out here onto the map, and probably just to force out a few more Lings from our Zerg, although the drone drilling here is pretty decent. Surrounded the Zealots. He does get one drone, and he may drill in a few more drones. Oh, there we go. So these Lings will tidy him up. Oh, I thought he was going to get that. That was so close. Very nice targeting there from G5. Okay, so lair is up, but we're not building any lair tech. So we don't have a spire coming up anywhere. Oh, we just hit it over here. So we do have it. And our Stargate is being hidden over here, is it? Yes. So just trying to hide our tick from our overlords and our scouting units and stuff, which is fair enough. These lings now that have been built are probably not going to be very useful. It looks like a gateway coming into the main base as well for G5. And we will have Scourge. He's done it again. Oh my god, this is... Oh no, they've got speed as well. Speedlings in the main. Panic, panic, panic. Okay, so the one lonely zealot who is a slow, lumbering oaf of a zealot is in 5 more sets of lings in production here. So Dimaga's getting really, really excited about the value that he's getting from lings. I don't know if making that many sets of lings at this stage is a good call. I'm pretty confident that G5 will stabilize here. And those lings at this stage of the game could certainly be drones, and I think that's probably more beneficial for what it's worth. So here we can see more lings are coming in, and he's probably going to try and storm in the front door again one more time. But there's only so many times you can go to the well, I think, where it's effective. Corsair does come into the game now. And I see 3 sets of Scourge in production, so I'm not sure what he's going to achieve. Anyway, so once again, because of this lovely shape of this map, I think he's going to hold the line with the 2 zealots here. Gets himself a pylon for his trouble, and this may well just be a pylon as well in a slightly more convenient spot, so those lings are going to sit quietly. Here is our Corsair being chased by a set of Scourge, as I expected would happen, and nice little bit of juking here. Juke, 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 juke. How is he getting away? Oh, gets caught in the front. That's the end of that. Thanks for coming. See ya later, mate. Okay, so we are now throwing down as our Protoss a couple more gateways. We've got 2 zealots on the go. We're throwing down, getting some more Corsairs. We're getting legs. We don't have a second gas as of yet. We are not progressing to Templar tech. So, as you can see, a little bit different to the meta now. Protoss players tend to seriously rush to Templar tech. Couple of Sunkens here. Nice wall position here, so I don't think he's going to get much done. There's another hatchery, so this is a beautiful little wall here that he's set up on this base. So I really don't think 3 zealots are going to get anything done here. This is just a wasteful trade. Got his zealots surrounded as well, and I think he's going to lose all 3 of them unless he backs out of there. He loses 2 out of 3. Couple of unemployed workers over here. Looking for a Hydra Den. That's actually why. There it is. As I said, that's why I'm clicking around, just to make sure that that tick is in play. I think the only criticism I have of our Zerg player, which might bite him in the arse later in the game, is he overmade lings. Could seriously have made a couple more drones in the early game, and could now already be getting on to 6-hatch Hydra production. I think he's delayed that. He doesn't have the drone saturation he needs economically to be making Hydras yet, and if he could be making Hydras now, our Protoss player would be in serious strife, because he's traded out so many zealots. He seems keen to trade out even more. Our Zerg though has decided that mutas would be a good call, because we only saw 1 Corsair and we haven't seen any subsequent to this, and I don't see any Corsairs in the production tab. Have we got cannons in our mineral line? Well, we're scrambling now to get a few. We've got a couple here. Okay, so I think these, because of the shape of this map, will actually double up as blockers. And here are the Corsairs. He's hit them in the natural. Sneaky snaggy boy. So should be able to fend off the muta pressure. And I think going muta here is actually a bit of a mistake, if I'm very honest with you. I think that droning up earlier and not making so many lings and Hydras now would seriously be, before Storm, Hydras would be a serious headache for this Protoss to deal with. But at this stage, still not a single Hydra has been produced. He's going muta, and I think, oh no, if he loses this game, this will be a window period of time where he can look back and go, I don't think I made the correct decisions. Okay, so we're 3-basing. If you are going to go mutas as a Zerg, you need to be using your map control to expand and take another base. How many agile units has this Protoss got? He's got a few zealots. I think seriously, aside from these zealots, he's got mutas that are helping him control the map. He's got enough Scourge to fend off 3 wildly little Corsairs. Oh my god, a Dark Archon. That's fun. He could certainly get himself into a position of taking a 4th base. So come on, Mr. Zerg. Stop doing stuff from 15 years ago that's wrong. Killing his own gateway because, you know, painful. Fair enough. Let's get his dragoons out. Looks like he wants to move out. It's a 10-minute game, guys. We don't have a robo. We don't have Storm. Okay, here we do have a Dark Archon, admittedly. And now we are making our first High Templars, and we're getting Maelstrom. Okay, so we're going Maelstrom, which is funky and fun. But we don't have Storm. We don't have a robo, so if our Zerg, he didn't, but if our Zerg had gone Hydra Lurker, our Protoss would have been in a bit of trouble, but by the same token, he probably would have scouted that and adjusted what he'd built. So it's always a credit to players. If you don't need something, then don't build it. But there will come a point when he does. And you see the robo is in the production tab, so is expecting Lurkers to become a factor soon. They just aren't at the moment. So a little bit later than what Rabbit wanted, but the 4th base is coming up. He is enjoying his map control. And I expect the next phase of the game for the Zerg player is to try and block the 3rd base expansion of the Protoss. There really are not a lot of bases on this map. So it's certainly tight when it comes to fighting for economic position. Okay, so it looks like our mutas are going to come in here and do something. What is that something is the big question. No. Oh! He missed! He whiffed it! No! That was so funny! He just totally whiffed it. Crazy! Anyway. I heard the noise, but nothing got maelstrommed. Now his energy's gone. That's hilarious. Oh well, maybe next time. I don't know why he's continuing to go mutas. Here's some more Scourge. And there go the Indigo Corsairs. So now you should be sending... Well, you could send mutas into the main, but they're pretty well protected. The 3rd base of our Protoss is coming up. What does our Zerg have to harass versus what does our Protoss have to protect? Does have a couple more Corsairs here. Dragoons seem to be the name of the game. Range about to kick in. Still no observers being fielded to the set, but also no signs that lurkers are imminent being shown by a Zerg yet. But once he shows these Hydras, then that will obviously change. It's got a lot of Hydras here. I think a combination of attack here. There's so many Hydras. Just go and kill these Zealots. Storm, though, is charging up here for these Templars. You're going to have to do some pretty solid storms. Our Zerg is really giving... it's targeted down those Templars beautifully. Oh! Does get the Maelstrom. Does he get the Storm as well? Or he's just going to kill them Archon style. Oh, that was so fun. But now the Hydras show themselves. Somehow another Templar does show up, and storms the living crap out of those. Oh, beautiful. Corpses galore here. Lovely trades between these two here. Hydra's getting into the game finally, probably a couple of minutes too late to be very honest, to try and break down this base. So this very narrow choke, this is so hard to get up here. Very, very difficult to break through. Some reinforcing zealots do come here to engage with these Hydras, and it looks like with the cannons and the reinforcements that this is possibly a hold, although he's going to have to throw down one or two decent storms. Yep, here come the reinforcing zealots, and with the +1 attack and the legs, zealots fend off the Hydras. So good hold there by G5, and I think Protoss, with the establishment of this 3rd base, is at the very least now on an even keel, possibly going into a small lead. 61 workers, not going to be too hard for him to look at expanding to a 4th base, and I think that's probably the next spot where he goes, that's not a good engagement though. Zealot versus pure Hydra. Run, run, run. Get some storm. Okay, there's some Templars here. We could get some storms. Decent enough dodging. So fun, action-packed games. I was saying earlier I was casting a PVT between Best and Tengu, and it was just like maybe 15 to 18 minutes of build up and then 7 minutes of fighting. We're saying a PVZ, oh, it's sad that he lost that Templar. PVZ tends to just be more action packed for much longer stretches. There's unemployed workers here. Oh, he does put them to work as I say that. So now I think our Zerg needs to change gears. He can't kill the Protoss. He needs to be expanding and trying to take the whole map and force the Protoss to come to him and use lurkers and stuff to draw out and take good trades. I think if he's going to continue attacking and trading out here, he's going to slowly but surely just become too inefficient and lose the game. So it does expand here, which is good. I think now potentially needs to just have a nice spread of overlords. I don't think Corsairs are much of a factor anymore in this game. So a nice spread of overlords should be able to scout any potential expansion patterns of the Protoss, and contain the Protoss to 3 bases has got to be the name of the game. Lurker eggs have shown themselves. I don't see any observers. But that storm. Oh, double storms the lurkers. I don't think a single lurker managed to burrow. Okay, so 2 of them did. And here comes the observer just in time. That was, from a Zerg perspective, absolutely wretched. Just wretched. You spawned lurkers. They were attacked as eggs. They were stormed as eggs. They were then stormed as lurkers. 2 of your 8 lurkers burrowed and were immediately killed. Just rip. Rip times 2. Alright, so let's see what he can get done here. Generally speaking, still I think we would like a few more Templars on the field instead of Archons fighting pure Hydra, which is just really not ideal. As I say that, though, a couple of storms do go off, but then we hear our High Templars dying soon after. Lurkers are much more effective underground, so we do burrow a few of them. And I think this little army is about to get surrounded and not get much done. The Templar gets sniped before being able to throw off any storms. Painful. And up we go here to find yet another base, not saturated. So these saturated hatches that, or these hatches that are established but don't have saturation on, not great from our Zerg player. I think he's going to get this hatch. Seems very, very, very determined to get it, and he does, as the Zealot dies. So he's got to re-establish this position. Very, very painful for the Zerg. Meanwhile, G5's taking his 4th base. If this holds, I think Protoss wins. I mean, I think based on the assessment of this game and how it's unfolded this far, I think Protoss is going to win anyway. I think unfortunately our Zergs just made a couple too many macro and sort of tech decision trees and timing mistakes along the journey of the game, and G5 has been allowed to get up to 4 bases with relative ease, so you should just probably hold on and bludgeon him economically. But our Zerg player is still showing a whole heap of determination to try and break this 4th base position, which is the right assessment in terms of game reading the game. To win this game, he's going to have to break this position for the Protoss. Zealots fighting against Lurker, not fun. And there's a lot of Zerg here. There really isn't much Protoss. So I don't know how he holds onto this base. I don't think he does. In fact, looks like he's just going to sack it and let it be. Another probe chilling over here to take this base. Hasn't done it yet. And now wants to expand over here as well. Is sending his army though to protect this position. So we'll draw out some Zerg units immediately because his overlord's there to spot. But it's got more than enough to pick off this little plopsy of Hydras. So I think what Zerg will do is consolidate his forces and try and storm this position. And what Protoss is going to do is send all of his units here to protect this position, because a high ground base going to be much, much easier to defend than this wide ramped base over here. So let's see how this goes. We are trying to engage coming up a ramp with lurkers. We don't have an overlord to spot for us, which is going to make getting up here really, really hard. And I just think we're trying to bludgeon up here as Zerg, and it's just, there's too much Protoss. Although there is a flank which I was too doofy to notice, so I'm going to eat my words. Absolutely, and then some. So plenty of Hydras coming up here to break down this position, and once again our Protoss is denied a 4th base. So credit where it's due. We've denied the 4th. We've expanded here. We're still looking at possibly expanding here or here, or at the very least we've got an eye on these positions. and we're expanding down here as well. So I think the Zerg is making some good moves here towards the middle to late game. And now it's up to Protoss to make the running. We've got, Jesus crikey, we've got so many unemployed workers here. We've got only people mining or probes mining here, nowhere else. This is sad. Our Protoss is actually in a pretty rough spot. So establishes this area again, and I think he's just got to say his prayers and hope that he holds it. And I think Zerg will immediately come and chase this down. Alright, so what are you going to do with your forces, Zerg? Let's go. Yes, we're going to have a big fight here in the middle of the map. There's just so much Hydra Lurker. I don't know. Did our Zerg ever get beyond? Oh, we do have Hive as well. I'm pretty sure Cracklings are going to enter the fold soon. Nice storm here. This is a hugely important battle. Oh man, the storms here are just absolutely clutch. So, took what was the bulk of the Zerg army, wiped it out in the middle of the map, really buying himself some time to get this base up. And now I think he's going to send his units here to protect this base, because that's really where this game is make or break. Meanwhile, this base is now up and running. Not great saturation as of yet. This base is up and running again. Not great saturation as of yet. We need to redistribute the drones we do have so we can get our mining going. And we need gas. As Zerg, we are desperately short of gas, which is proving very problematic and challenging. Meanwhile, G5's deciding, instead of me sitting protecting my base that I'm trying to establish, let me pressure this new source of income. Only a handful of lurkers here. Observers beautifully positioned. Unfortunately, the Sunkens were a little bit too late, so the Archons have managed to come in here and get good penetration. The hatchery does go down and immediately hightails out of there, so the mission was quite clear. Kill the hatch and run. So he's done that, has now retreated to this position that I'm sure he's expecting a full frontal assault from the Zerg to come through. I think Lings has got to be the way of things for the Zerg. He's got to be spending, he can't be floating between 800 and 1,000 minerals at this stage of the game. That's 20 sets of Lings that would be better served coming out on the field, particularly with quite a Dragoon heavy composition that we see from the Protoss at this stage. So a couple of Lings do enter the fray, but he just can't seem to gather enough of a mass all at one time to break this position. And so once again, I think our Protoss, because he's managed to establish and is looking like he's going to be able to hold this, is probably going to be able to win this game. But it's been very, very close. In certain facets, I think I've been a little bit too harsh on the Zerg. And in other facets, I think the Zerg has had a number of opportunities to win this game. And just with a couple of little small decision-making errors, has kept Protoss in the picture. Okay, so unemployed workers again. We've got plenty of mining bases. So this is mining for Zerg, this is mining for Zerg, this is being re-established for Zerg. Only one mining base for Protoss. I think Protoss has to try and take this base as well. Oh, this is still mining and going strong. That's mined out, that's mined out. So another base could well be key here, although our Zerg is really, really struggling for production. So there's basically 2, 3, 4 mining bases, but somehow the money's just not there. I think the problem is the money will come and the supply will come, but by the time it does, Protoss will be fully maxed out. And this base, once again, even though there's nothing mining here, is a very, very important source of income, particularly gas income, potentially for Zerg. So once again, G5 trying to break this position. Another storm here would be really, really juicy. I don't see a Templar though, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think he's just got enough Zealot, Archon, Dragoon, Observer to break this down. And again, this hatchery falls for what feels like the millionth time for poor Dimaga, our orange Zerg friend. So coming up this ramp to take this fight, I don't think that's entirely necessary. In fact, if you're Zerg, you don't really need that base as of yet as much as you need to just harass and destroy this base. Maybe with a drop. Defilers here would be huge. I think that's the other criticism I could have of the Zerg. He has not ticked into Defilers. I don't even know if he's got the Crackling upgrade as of yet. But Defilers would be amazing to put some Dark Swarm up onto this ramp and to break this only mining base of the Protoss. The fact that the Protoss has been able to get that base up and running, is in the process now of establishing another one, is probably going to be the difference between these two teams at the end of the day. Another base knocked down just with pure Zealot. Zerg has just spread himself too far, and just doesn't have enough left. He's got 70 supply. It's not enough. So a very, very entertaining game. It is fun to go into the retro archives and to see how the game was played. Obviously not as good a quality games as you would see with, you know, Koreans on the ladder, but it's fun to watch the retro packs of the foreign pro scene back in the TSL era. G5 quite well known, Dimaga as well. Very, very much enjoyed this game. I think it was a game of fine margins and decision making in sort of the early mid and to some extent the late game, but a lot of fun. PVZ, as I say, always my favorite. I'm Rabbit Roo. I'll be casting games at least once a week. I'll try and do a retro game. My others will kind of be more of the modern stuff. So whatever you enjoy, please just subscribe. There's plenty for everybody. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Ciao.